Morning, everybody. Got a lot of requests for doing bug holes, both for Starship Troopers and for Warhammer 40k Tyranids. So this is going to be kind of a grab all kind of vid covering a bunch of different game systems that basically want to do the same thing. What you're looking at is actually a small bay island that I'm doing for a buddy of mine up in Canada by the name of Rob, and I'm doing a quick conversion and I'm turning this into a bug hole by using that piece there spanning the bay of this small island, and then I'm using rubble and rocks because a lot of the movies show them on, you know, kind of rocky desert areas, and you get to actually play around with both concepts. You can do stonework and you can do sand work. So this is a nice variation. You can glue up the rocks and whatnot along the edging and and paint them up, and it should look pretty impressive. Like I said, this is actually an island going to a customer, so you're never going to see this done as a bug hole. But I'm going to do a live how-to using a hot wire tool, and I guess I'll just call it quick and dirty bug hole, because a lot of hobbyists have this tool. And even though I cut this out on the scroll saw, because that's what I prefer to work with, the rest, these cuts can all be made with that tool, and I'll be making the rest of my cuts with that tool. So without further delay, I'll try and angle this down on the table so you guys get the best view of what's going down. Good, that's a good angle. Okay. Rule number one: when you're cutting out a centerpiece, you don't want people to see your insertion line. What's an insertion line? An insertion line is how I get from the outside line to the inside. The best way to hide your insertion line is to take the smallest route, the quickest way in, because it has the least amount of time for the eye to pick up that seam. Okay? And that's what we want. We want to hide that seam. Remember, half of art is showing it, half of art is hiding it. Okay? So here we go. Got it on, got power on, life is good. I'll try and angle my body too so you can kind of see what I'm doing here, guys. Alright, so I'm just going to do my insertion cut. And you don't have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have to be perfect. This is all going to get cut away and no one's going to see your mistakes. And this is also a rough cut. I'm going to be taking off more than this. It's really hard to twist this while I'm doing it. I hope this is even getting on there. Now here's the tricky part, guys. Open it up and take it out. See how I did that? I opened it up and I pulled it through. Okay, that's going to hide my insertion line. Very important. You always got to be thinking two steps. How am I going to get in? How am I going to get out? So I'm going to pull this out. Hopefully I won't break it. There's the wife. Hi, honey. You get to talk to me on my movie. Hello? She's a brave soul, isn't she? Okay. Back to work. Now, that's actually not a bad idea. One of the first things you can do to hide your hole is to glue it back shut again. That way there's no way you can cut into that line. And of course, mine is unplugged at the moment. So, we will save that to later in the vid. Hopefully it'll get up to speed. I got it on 1, so it should get up to speed pretty quick. Where am I at? 5. Oh my god. Okay. This may turn into a 2-parter, guys. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, and you can start in anywhere you want. And I'm going to go down, I'm going to work my edge, and I want to cut to roughly the middle. You can cut slightly over, you can cut slightly under. That's entirely up to you. And you can pop out at any time if you're not happy with the angle that you're working at. I really know this is 101, guys, but I do have a lot of newbies here, so bear with me. I know the veterans are groaning as I'm doing this, but remember, you were a newbie once, just like me, just like them. So a lot of this hobby is just straight up respect. You know, gotta respect the new people. You know, even when they're asking, where do I buy foam? Alright, I'm going to leave this opening alone, because I don't want to mess this up. Okay, this is extremely dirty and quick, guys. This is not even remotely artistic, but it's functional. You can still whip down your bug. You know, da-da-da, there he is, climbing out of his hole, blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever it is. Now, we're going to cut the inside. Inside is much, much more difficult to do than the outside. So, I usually do this like piecemeal. Let's see if I can do this backwards to face you guys. Now, the key is I want to break this line, guys. I don't want it flat. I want it jagged, because this is kind of like an... I intend this to be kind of an explosive hole. So the ground is fresh, unlike here where it's kind of blown. You know what I mean? So here we go. It's really hard to get a good angle sometimes, but you know, that's why it's an art form. You know. So here we are, cruising around the corner. And before I get to that wall and it's a problem, I pull out. Now save these guys. All this stuff that looks like junk, these become really good barriers later on in your game. You can use these to show natural topography, all sorts of stuff, guys. You know, granted, once again, I'm going to see all of the veterans groaning, but, you know, not everybody's a perfectionist, and it's viable. It's totally a viable use of scrap. And a lot of people, you know, they don't necessarily like that very much, because you make a lot of models, you get a lot of these. So the veterans are always gonna groan when they see that, because they've made about 1 million of those. As have I. But, you know, we gotta get over ourselves. You know, what's old hat to us is completely new to other people. And we gotta, you know, give respect where respect is due, and that kind of stuff. So where am I at time-wise? Not much time left. But like I said, this is a quick, dirty bug hole. This stuff usually cuts pretty quick. Now when you cut through this stuff, guys, remember, this is plastic. So it's going to cut slower and it's going to cut harder. So expect that. That cut remarkably easily. I'm amazed. Usually everything on camera is harder because you're fighting the clock, but I guess this one worked out really, really well. There was a little hesitation there when I was cutting through it, but not much. Now, when you look at that, you can't see the seam really. And when you dry brush it, you really won't see that seam, okay? And another thing I would suggest is breaking up your lines by cutting in. But this is just a quick, dirty bug hole. Again, I never go with a perfectly round shape because I think perfectly round shapes look too amateurish. Always try and make your stuff asymmetrical if you're doing stuff in nature, because that's going to make it look more realistic. So, love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Take care.